Good afternoon, everybody. It's Pat Saldana, and tonight, or it is our Live at 5 event. So as many of you know, or some of you know, that every Friday I try to get on Facebook Live to host this small event, if you will. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this is, many of you know, again, that I am running for Lewis County Commissioner for District 3. And as part of our campaign is for you to get out there and interact with, the citizens of your community, go to different meetings, we do parades. But, in those events, you don't really get or have the opportunity and the time to actually meet these, the people within your district, within your community, and really have an opportunity to find out who they are and what it is that they believe in, why they're running, and why they are the best person to have as, for me, Lewis County Commissioner, right? So I'm utilizing social media because so many of us are on social media. And I think this is another way to kind of get out there and say, hey, I'm Pat, and this is what, I believe in, and this is why I think I'm going to be the best person for Lewis County Commissioner, right? So anyway, welcome. I'm glad that you are here. Wanted to talk, so last week I talked about why I'm running for commissioner, and today I want to talk a little bit about some of the, I'm sorry, I kind of need to back up a little bit here. Now that we're running for commissioner, there's 5 of us that are running. And now that we're getting, like, media is now contacting us and they're asking some of these questions. And so one of which is, what issues do you find within our area that, we need to think about? And so that's what I kind of want to talk to you about today. I cannot say that I'm going to gather all or let you know all of the issues. There's quite a few issues within our area, but these are some of the highlights and some of the ones that I've been seeing. And I'm just going to kind of bring up, briefly. One of them I would have to say is, so let's go down to the east side of District 3, which would be like Packwood. Packwood right now is dealing with a housing issue, kind of a housing shortage issue. So that's something that's been on the plate for them. Another area would be areas such as Mineral. So Mineral would be as you're going towards LB down Highway 7. And Mineral is kind of working around this YMCA issue, where YMCA wants to build like not a resort, but a camp, if you will. And as with everything, there's pros and cons to that. Here in Morton, my little town of Morton. Now, I don't live in the city. I'm out in the country, but Morton is my town. They've got a very old, if you will, aging water sewer infrastructure that's definitely in need of repair and possibly, I guess you could say, replacement. But like in every little community, being that we're small, money's an issue. And so we try to maybe put a Band-Aid, not because we don't care, but it's because we, let's just do a little bit that we can, because maybe that will hold us and we'll get some more funds at a later date. But then sometimes that doesn't happen. So right now with Morton, I'm seeing pictures of people turning on the water, filling up a glass of water, and the water is a little bit of the yellow side. They're saying that it is fine, but still there is an issue there with their water and sewer system that they are very well aware of. But again, we're a small town and monies just don't flow into us like they do in Seattle or in Tacoma and the bigger cities, right? So those are some challenges that they've been experiencing that, needs to be addressed. Another area is Toledo. I just learned about maybe 5 months ago, an issue called biosludge. I never heard of biosludge before, but that's kind of, that biosludge could be anywhere here within Lewis County, but Toledo is the one that's kind of, their people banded together and said, hey, we don't want this stuff here. Biosludge was kind of put out like it's a great thing, and maybe it's not as great as what it has been put out to be. And I just am so glad that the people of Toledo, again, banded together and said, We don't want this here. Now, is the issue resolved and completed? No, by no means. They're still working through that, but I appreciate that they're, again, banding together. You know, when you live out here in rural Lewis County, we all kind of moved out here to have that quiet, simple life, if you will. But that doesn't mean we don't watch out for each other. And that's the great thing about Lewis County on our east end for sure, is that we may be out kind of on our own per se, but we watch out for each other. So that's a great thing that, again, I'm glad that the folks of Toledo are really banding together. And it just shows when we work together, you know, it strengthens our community. And I love that. The other one I would say too is Chehalis. Where I'm getting to is a hydrogen plant. I think I told you a couple weeks ago, I was at the hydrogen symposium and they were talking about the great things that hydrogen, can bring to our community. And they're going to be repurposing the TransAlta facility there in Chehalis, and I believe in 2025. But there's also another side to that we need to look at. So those are kind of the bigger issues that I'm seeing within our communities. The other thing that I'm seeing, and I look at this that it's overall, is that our mental health we've got a crisis going on within Lewis County, Thurston County, statewide, and nationwide as well. And I believe that COVID just kind of highlighted, right? Because we pulled, and let me give you an example about my perspective, because I'm involved in the school system. So many of you may know that I am the board chair of my local school district here, a position that I absolutely love. When April 2020, when the kids were about to go off to spring break, and the governor said, you're not coming back into the building, you're all going to go online. I just so happened to be in the building that day for whatever reason. And I recall so vividly that when school was out, kids were, heading home, if you will, so many of them were crying. And I'm not talking little boo-hoos, I'm talking bawling. Why? Because school was their safe haven, or is their safe haven. So many of us, so many of our kids, I should say, do not have a great home life. Many of us do, or many of our kids do, but many of them do not. And so school was their safe place. So because of those, time where they could not come into their safe haven, they were in a situation where maybe they weren't getting enough food, they didn't have food, or they didn't have the parental support. So that's why it was so important to get kids back into the classroom, to give them that support. But what it highlighted was a situation that's been going on, I believe, for a while. Is just that school was able to kind of comfort some of these kids, but it just highlighted when COVID hit how a lot of these kids have not a great home life. So the mental health, the mental toll of that on a lot of our kids has been very visible with lower test scores. And I'm seeing so much lashing out, so much anger. And I get it, right? Because again, they didn't have the support that they need. And it just doesn't apply just to kids. I see that with adults who are they need their group of friends and their kind of socialization to help support their mental health. And there's some people that, they struggle when they're isolated. So in general, I believe mental health is a huge issue across the board. I was having a great week this week, and Tuesday rolled around and I heard the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. And that, to me, number one, there's so many aspects that it just made me so sad. But I also saw there was a cry for help from I'm not going to, say his name, but the individual who caused a lot of heartache, was that he's crying. There's a huge cry for help. And we just are not addressing mental health as we should. You know, when you see a person with a broken arm, a broken leg, we say like, oh, you know, they have an injury, and we accept that. But for some reason, when we have someone who's going through a mental crisis, we just can't grasp it. We just can't say, hey, you know, there's someone there in crisis. Now, some people will tell me, well, what am I going to do about it? There's nothing that I can do. Oh, I disagree with that. And I'll tell you why I disagree with that. I'm not suggesting that you go try to be a psychologist or psychiatrist, because you don't go there. But if there's somebody that you know, and you can see that they're just acting a little bit differently and they're, let's say, in crisis, be there for them. Help them find help. That is something that you can do. Remember last week we talked about, I already lost my train of thought there. We talked about community service and how you can give back to your community. Well, that's a way that you can help give back. Just be there for somebody. Don't act like a psychiatrist, and don't act like a, psychologist. Again, unless that's your license to do that, or a licensed counselor. I'm just saying, be there and help them find help, because there are services out there that can help you, or help a friend, a family member. So just be there to help them find those services. So I believe that's a way that you can give back, right? There's always ways you can give back to your community. So that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this week. Next week, if you have an idea of what you want me to talk about, send me a message, a private message, and I'll be happy to make that happen. So what is happening now? Remember, today is Friday. We are welcoming the Memorial Day weekend. Woo! So what's happening? We've got a few things going on that I think you guys would love to check out. So one is Packwood. We love our folks in Packwood, and they have a great flea market. They have one the beginning of spring, summer, if you will. So this weekend, then they do one that kind of closes it out in September? I think it's in September, August, September. So anyway, check out Packwood. They have a great flea market. I've been up there. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's so many vendors out there and so many people just selling stuff. It's a great time, and a lot of great food there. Over at the Veterans Memorial Museum on Monday, they're going to be having an event there. So you want to check them out. I don't know if you've ever been to the Veterans Memorial Museum, but let me tell you, it's a cool place. I just have been there recently. I'm like, this is a great, great place. You got to check it out. May 28th, the Fish Pond event over at Barrier Dam Campgrounds, and the kids get to fish for free. How fun is that? Over at the Pioneer West Nursery there in downtown Centralia. It's kind of maybe a little bit north downtown Centralia. But anyway, they are having a bonsai workshop. And at 11, again, May 28th, it's Cruising on Alaska. So I guess they get their cars. I think they start off, I don't recall where they start off, but they cruise on Alaska. Again, great fun. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you next Friday at 5 o'clock, live at 5. And don't forget, got my website up and running. It's pat-saldana.com. So PAT-SALDANA.com. There, I would wish you consider donating, because running a campaign can be incredibly expensive. On Facebook, you can find me at pat4-commish. I am on Instagram and on Twitter, which is pat4commish. And beyond that, you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend, and thank you, veterans, for all the work that you do. I cannot thank you enough. Have a good one. Bye.